for those guys thinking that much of me to feel like I'm ready. Some people think I'm relatively young or whatnot, but I've worked extremely hard since I've started coaching to prepare myself for this moment. Day in, day out, week in, week out. It's a 24/7, 365-day grind. To set myself up for this opportunity and moment right now.
Most of us remember you as a player. It wasn't all that long ago. When did you know you wanted to go into coaching, and can you walk us through how that came about?
So it's funny, right? I feel like all of my coaches from growing up, by the time I started playing college ball, they thought that very intelligent. One day you could see yourself coaching one day or whatever, and we were going through training camp in 2022, and I remember AG was telling me like, man, you're gonna be a coach one day, whatever, blah blah blah. I didn't know that my playing days was slowly coming to an end. But after I got released, I met with Dan, Brad, AG, and they gave me the opportunity. Well, told me, like, hey man, if there's not any serious interest from teams out there, man, we think it's you bring value to this coaching staff and, helping the players out. And that time during training camp, I was more of a backup. And at that point, we had drafted Malcolm. D. Barnes was going into year 2. And at that point, I kind of like felt like a older brother or veteran, who were helping those guys out or, putting them on game about, maybe things that I saw. Because obviously I was in year 5 at the time. So it's been a cool transition.
One more thing, was that hard to hear, like, hey, maybe your career is done, but we want you? Was it refreshing to hear? I don't know, how'd you sort of...
No, it wasn't hard at all. I mean, I think at that point, tell people, man, every box that any football player could want, I've checked, from playing in Alabama, winning national championships, you get drafted, you make it to the league, you made plays in the league. So, I mean, I've checked all my boxes, and, one thing, I'm a big, making a difference in other people's lives. So what better opportunity to where now, I want to be the coach maybe that I never had, or, I feel like I got a very unique perspective where, I've been in the locker room where some of these guys I've played with, and now, okay, I can see both sides of it and understand what they need and what they don't need.
What's one or two things you picked up in your talks with AG that'll help you now early in your coaching journey?
Oh, man. This AG, man, he's so great. I think one thing that I've learned is poise from him. One thing about AG, nothing could never get under his skin or nothing could never crack him. So whether if it was somebody blowing an assignment or it was maybe somebody's not on the same page, he was a super even keel guy. And, I think that stands out a lot about him. And I think another thing is a very people's person, and that's something that I think that's so important. He's probably an even better person and a better man than he is actually a coach. So that's two big things I really learned from him.
When everything clicked for you as a coach, when did you feel it start to click? Like, oh, there's a path. There's a real path.
If you want to be honest, it may be actually when I was my senior year of college, right? Broke my kneecap, was out for the season. What was that LSU game? Jeremy Pruitt had just taken the job at Tennessee, getting ready for the playoff game. And so Pruitt's on the road recruiting and stuff like that. And, okay, we have a GA or whatever. And I am hopping around, basically being like the linebacker coach for the guys who I was just suiting up with then. I thought it was, kind of cool or whatever. I mean, obviously, you think that you're going to play 10 years in the league and, sign a $100 million contract, but that's not the case. But I think it was really training camp in 2022 when you're a backup and, you're helping the guys that, maybe that you're competing with, but they're playing in front of you. But, you want for the common goal of the team is to win. You want to make sure that they're ready to go and better off.
When you look at this roster, I mean, do you see guys that have kind of that same mindset that, you could see them coaching in the league someday?
I mean, I kind of really don't look at it, honestly. But I think one thing, we learned a lot from last year and with all the injuries and stuff like that, how important depth is, and that's something I'm consistently preaching, to the room to where, I mean, hey, we got to be just as good from the first guy all the way down to the last guy, and that's something that as a coach, you want to prepare guys, and that's what we are called the coach for, so that way the players can think as much as they do as a coach as possible.
Shaun, Where did you see him grow the most last year, and what does the next step for him look like?
I saw Jack has grown a lot from year 1 to year 2. You see maybe less thinking out there. The game is slowing down for him. And now even going from year 2 to year 3, you know, when you watch the self-scout and stuff like that, you see him really taking that next step. Like I said, big thing is like thinking, you know, I think from coming from college to the pros, you know, obviously college, their offenses are a little different. The field's different. Concepts are differently. You know, so now he's getting his feet under him. I think the first thing is I know Jackson, he's a freaking works extremely hard, a big student of the game, you know. And so now that we're sitting back and we're seeing things slowing down, that's from a pass coverage perspective or even that's from a run fit wise where I can see him taking the next steps now like already in the offseason from the questions he's asking, even going to the practice field. You can see that, okay, things are slowing down tremendously for him.
You just mentioned the depth in your room. You have a lot of players in there who have contributed at this level. How would you just describe the football acumen that's in your position room right now?
Ask that question one more time.
Just with having so many players in your room who have contributed at this level, what's the football IQ in that room right now?
I think, you know, having a lot of guys that played a lot of ball, I think it's a great thing. Because one, I think when you have one, it elevates competition, right? And I think that's where we're all, it's a game, football is a game of competition. So one, okay, everybody's going to raise their level because, okay, they know the next man is going to force them to be better. Because, you know, okay, if they're not doing their job or they're not playing at an extremely high level, okay, this next guy, he can do it just as much, you know. And if anything, right, I think it, you know, sometimes it can preserve guys' body. You know, it's great also because sometimes maybe you may not be in the game, but you know what? You're able to learn from somebody else who's in the game, make a mistake to make sure that you don't make the same mistake.
I've been asked this question a couple of times. I figured I should ask you. Is Alex here in the spring right now?
Enzo, he's a, man, you're talking about a four-year captain, a leader on the team, got so much respect for the guy. Man, you know, I'm just excited to, like, where he is and, you know, moving forward as he comes into his this next year, this season. I'm expecting a big season for him.
Is he taking part in the spring workouts right now?
There's like no comment on that. I think you could talk to Coach Campbell about I'm not in charge of like the answering those type of questions.
What's it been like having Shaun Choice in the building? I don't know if you knew him before, but just getting to know him. He said he and Shep might come to blows in training camp on the field. He's so competitive. Just what's it been like having his energy, his presence around?
Oh, it's been great. T. Choice, he's actually been a guy who I feel like I've known from a distance for quite some time. Just because of being around Shep. You know, him and Shep are really good friends. And, you know, every day, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning, he got the juice, you know. Hambone, where your juice at? You know, he's the same guy every single day. So I'm super ecstatic, you know, to have him on the roster. And I know that he's going to do a great job with the running backs. And I know his linebackers going to have to come ready to work every day at practice because I know he's going to make sure those guys are ready to go.
Coach under Shep for the last few years, how has that helped your transition, maybe just knowing what he wants, how he teaches and things like that?
This has helped me out tremendously. I think that he's probably like one of the better coaches that I had a chance to play for as a player. And then, okay, once you start working with him and, okay, you start picking his brain even more and you start realizing, man, like, dang, like he's really sharp. You know, every day from when I first started coach or even from playing to coaching, you know, every day I'm feeling like I'm taking little nuggets from him, you know, that he's an extremely great teacher in football, you know, not just linebacker, but football, you know, dumbing things down, you know, making the complex simple for guys. And he's even really good at that, even for coaches as well.
What is Grant's skill set going to add to your room?
Oh, Grant. I remember when I watched him as a free agent, you know, and I'm like, man, like this guy right here, man, you turn on the tape, you talking about he's all over the field, you know. The fiery guy, tough, competitive, fast, you know, run and hit. He's going to bring great competition to the room. I mean, he can play man coverage. I mean, I say the biggest thing is he fits us. You know, he's what we're looking for from his personality to the style he plays. He's for sure fits like everything that Shep is looking for and for sure everything Dan's looking for.
Just wondering if you could provide a little, I don't know, insider look at the last 12 months of Derek Barnes' career, you know. Going into last year, he had that Sam linebacker role. It seemed like he was destined for a big role. Obviously, the injury happens, but then you know, he gets a big contract this offseason. Just what has he meant to the room? What has that kind of journey been like for him?
You know, I'm very unfortunate that the injury happened. And, you know, sometimes that we don't know why things happen, but as bad as the injury was, I think a lot of good came out of that. I think, as you can see, like, over the years, D. Barnes has progressed year in, year in, year in, year in. Okay, now, that injury sent him down, allowed him to, sit back and be even more of a student of the game. And now, you fast forward now, and it's year 5. And, now you watch film and stuff like that with him. Maybe things that he didn't see last year, he's seeing it because he's had that time to, with that time, he maximized it. You know, he wasn't just sitting on the couch feeling sorry for himself. You know, so he's had a chance to really mature. And I think that this year is going to be a good season for him, and he's going to take his game to the next level. I mean, it's credit to him for being a student of the game and maximizing the time when he wasn't able to be on the field.